it's weird. It's like the world is kind of finally waking up to some of the things that we've been talking about. This happened probably a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago, where like suddenly all of the things that used to be our special secret esoteric knowledge on Bitcoin Twitter became mainstream media talking points, and you can now hear them on CNBC every day, or people talk about them in Congress or in the halls of the White House. And that's just a very surreal, I think, phenomenon that most Bitcoiners have not really. We still haven't like acquiesced. Like we're not used to that. It's not normal for us because we're used to being these like weirdos in the corner, and now our worldview is starting to be accepted by major institutions, major governments, important people, rich people, and so we're not really like shooting spitwads from the back of the class anymore. And this thing is acting like a mature asset.
Yeah. The fundamentals of Bitcoin being "fuck you, no one can take it away from me" money, like they don't really change. Right? It's just the people that I think different people that talk about it now.
It's a good point in the sense that like, there is a very deep meta on Bitcoin of Bitcoin being this sort of alien substrate that doesn't conform to any of the rules or social norms of the current system. But as Bitcoin starts to enter the current system, the traditional system, it starts to look like it's being co-opted or it's conforming. But if you know enough about Bitcoin's underlying architecture, you realize that it cannot be co-opted. It cannot conform, right? Like you accept it in, but you accept it in a way that's fundamentally destabilizing to the current power structure. It's kind of like when the Romans accepted Christianity, and Roman emperors started, converting to Christianity, that was fundamentally like destabilizing for Rome. And then Rome fell and collapsed into essentially the Catholic Church and became like the Holy Roman Empire. And it's very similar in that same way of like, this is Bitcoin is a dissolving force, I think, for a lot of like mainstream traditional architecture, but that's not recognized or widespread by the players that we're seeing enter the space now, like the JP Morgans of the world or the BlackRocks of the world. I don't think they really get that. I think that they think that they're in control, and I think that if you've been in Bitcoin long enough, you realize that no one's in control of Bitcoin. It is this very powerful sort of, it's almost like an AI. It's like this very powerful sort of narrow AI that turns the entire world into Bitcoin. I don't know if I've ever talked about this with you, but there's this Nick Bostrom who created the book Superintelligence and the idea of simulation theory. He has this thought experiment called a paperclip maximizer. A paperclip maximizer is a AI that's super powerful, but super narrow in scope. So its only goal or objective is to make paperclips, but it's so overpowered that it ends up turning the entire world into paperclips. And I have long thought that Bitcoin is essentially a paperclip maximizer that turns the entire world into Bitcoin, because like it touched you, it turned you into Bitcoin. It touched me, it turned me into Bitcoin. And I believe that it's going to do the same thing to BlackRock. I think it's going to do the same thing to JP Morgan. And then I think it's going to do the same thing to G7 governments. I think it's going to do the same thing to the American government, to the Federal Reserve, to the International Bank of Settlements. Like, that's how powerful I think Bitcoin is. I don't think anybody can come in contact with it and not be fundamentally altered or changed. And I don't think the current system understands that yet.